Welcome, Frankfort and Franklin County residents, and thank you for tuning in to the candidate preview for State Representative 56th House District General Election held on November 8th, 2022. I'm J.C. Young, and I'm honored to serve on the Chamber Government Affairs Committee and your MC for this event. The first meeting of the Kentucky General Assembly occurred in 1792, shortly after Kentucky was granted statehood. For 230 years, Frankfort has stood as the Commonwealth's capital and has been the meeting place of the legislature. The State House is made up of 100 elected representatives, while the State Senate consists of 38 elected senators who serve larger population districts. After redistricting last year by the legislature, the 56th House District is now composed of all of Woodford County, part of Jessamine County, and part of Franklin County, precincts including Peaks Mill, Owenton Road, Forks of Elkhorn, Swallowfield, Schweitzer, Thornhill, and Station Springs. The obligations of state representative include policy research, drafting bills, reading and considering legal opinions, legislative committee work, taking concerns from constituents, evaluating state programs, and assessing how legislation will affect their constituents and the state's budget, and most recently funding natural disaster cleanup. Unfortunately, because of scheduling conflicts, we're unable to host a full candidate forum. As a substitute for this forum, we invited each candidate to make a statement or have a statement announced on their behalf regarding their campaign and candidacy. Before we begin, I'd like to thank and recognize the Frankfort Area Chamber of Commerce for establishing this event and the Frankfort Plant Board for hosting and broadcasting the event. Joining us today is Mr. Grayson Vandegrift, who will have 5 minutes to give his remarks. Mr. Vandegrift.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you. I appreciate everyone with the Frankfort Area Chamber of Commerce for hosting this today. I am sorry that we can't have an in-person forum, and I still am willing to do that at any time, but this will have to do today, and I appreciate the opportunity. My name is Grayson Vandegrift. I'm a father of 2 young children, 6 and 1, and I'm the proud husband of my wonderful wife, Katie. I live in Woodford County in Midway, where I've been the mayor for the last 8 years, and I'm wrapping up my 2 terms in these next couple months. And I want to be your next state representative because you deserve the kind of representation that you've had in the past. Now, I do not believe in negative campaigning. In my mailers you see, you're not going to see negative attacks. You are going to see differences between myself and my opponent. And I do believe that it's important that candidates talk about the differences between us so that you can make an informed decision when you vote on November 8th. First and foremost, my belief is that public education is one of the most vital things to a strong economy and to a good sense of community and a strong ability to move forward in this Commonwealth. And my opponent in his first term as state representative voted for himself a legislative pay raise of 8%, which means now that this part-time legislature will make twice as much as the average part-time Kentuckian who has a part-time job. However, my opponent voted not to give a raise for teachers. I disagree with both of those moves. I'm not going to get into this for any money. I'm not interested in enriching myself, and I disagree with both amendments that will be on the ballot. The first amendment that would actually put the legislature, give them the right to call themselves into session at any time. I'll get to the second amendment in a little bit. But I do believe in giving raises for teachers, and it would be one of the first bills I would file if elected state representative. My opponent also sponsored a bill to eliminate property taxes for private plane and private jet owners. And I'm very happy for all those who own private planes and private jets, and I'm glad they're doing well, and I hope they continue to do so. But I'm more interested in funding vital services and in reducing sales tax, especially as a way to combat inflation. Thirdly, my opponent believes in no exceptions to abortion, and I believe this is an extreme position. The idea that someone who is raped or a victim of incest has no control over what happens to their body after already losing control of it once, but being told by the state legislature what they will do next seems like extreme government overreach. And I believe in sensible solutions and a compromise that can make most people happy on this issue, if not all. We did, after all, have a 20-week ban in Kentucky before that I thought was working a lot better than this current trigger law, which I'm afraid will get women in Kentucky killed. And it's that serious, and we have to talk about the truth on this issue. And I believe in cost of living adjustments for retirees. I think it's a shame that our state government retirees who have worked for state government for most of their lives haven't even had a cost of living adjustment in 11 years. And my opponent is on record in a forum similar to this or an interview similar to this saying he doesn't believe it's the state legislature's role, but I do. If elected state representative, one of the first things I'll do is file a bill for cost of living adjustments for state retirees. I also believe that the Republican majority in Frankfort has made a serious mistake in restructuring our tax code in Kentucky. If you're very wealthy, you're probably going to see up to $11,000 tax cuts on your income tax. But if you're like me and you work day to day, you grind it out, you're basically paycheck to paycheck, you're going to see closer to about $300 in cuts. We are wasting one of the greatest surpluses in the history of our Commonwealth. And as mayor of Midway, I know a little bit about surpluses, and I know what you can do with them. You can cut regressive taxes, you can invest in infrastructure, you can invest in parks, and all the things that make quality of life better. And as a state representative, I want to do just that. I want to make quality of life better. But we have to think about all the people, not just special interests, and that's what I'll do. I believe in being open and transparent. Right now, on the City of Midway's website, lists my cell phone number, and it's on my door hangers and my mailers. If you ever have any questions or concerns, please call me and reach out. That's the kind of state representative that I want to be. And if I'm elected state representative, you'll have access to my cell phone number, not an LRC number, not a 1-800 number, but my cell phone number. So please go to GraysonForKentucky.com if you want to learn more, and please reach out. And I want to thank you all again for this opportunity, and I want to thank you at home for listening.
Unable to join us today is Mr. Daniel Pfister. I will read remarks on his behalf. Statement from Mr. Dan Pfister, candidate for State Representative, 56th House District. First and foremost, I would like to thank the Frankfort Area Chamber of Commerce for arranging this event and allowing my message to be heard. Although scheduling conflicts have kept me away, I've made it a priority to thank each of you for the opportunity to serve as your state representative, as it has been the honor of a lifetime. For the constituents who may not be as familiar with me, I'll take a moment to introduce myself. My wife and I celebrated our 44th wedding anniversary this year and raised 2 successful young men who've blessed us with 2 grandchildren. I grew up on my family's farm and developed my work ethic through long days in the field with my father, which has carried into my career as both a farmer and your state representative. Along the way, I've also worked in trucking, law enforcement, was a senior accountant for the U.S. operations of small multinational corporation, and retired after 34 years as a general contractor. In addition to my volunteer activities at church and various civic groups, I manage rental property for others while maintaining my time with family as a priority. I've never considered myself to be a politician and did not consider it a path until I felt called to run for office in 2015, as I reflected on the quote, "All evil needs to prosper is for good men to do nothing." I realized that while there is a lot going on wrong in our world, I was not attempting to correct my corner of it. I ran for this seat in 2016, again in 2018, and was elected in 2020 as the first Republican ever to serve as state representative from the 56th House District. For me, this position is not a career. I'm running for re-election because though I was able to accomplish a lot in my first term, there is still more to be done. As a successful small business owner, I understand what it takes to garner an environment for healthy and economic development. Currently, Kentucky is ranked 48th in our nation for workforce participation. If granted a second term, I plan to maintain inflation reduction methods as well as responsible spending as a mainstay in my agenda. So far, I have proudly put more money into the hands of working Kentuckians by reducing income taxes by 10% and have sent them on a path to be reduced to 0 within the next several years. I've worked not only to appropriate funds to expand our broadband internet, but have used my position in the House Small Business and Information Technology Committee to oversee its progress. I was able to work with my colleagues to appropriate $75 million in ARPA funds to help rebuild our devastated tourism industry. As a member of the House Agriculture Committee, the Kentucky representative at the national level as a member of the Legislative Southern Conference Committee on Agriculture to help farmers in our district and across the Commonwealth. When reelected, I will continue to use my position in the majority party to give all of Franklin County a place at the table, and I look forward to continuing that role. I believe it goes without saying that this election is about choice, a choice for progress, a continued path a continued path to better our district, or a choice of regression. With this in mind, I humbly ask for your vote on November 8th, 2022. Again, that is a statement from Mr. Daniel Pfister, candidate for State Representative 56th House District. As we close, I'd like to personally thank both candidates for seeking this office. There have been some election law changes statewide in the last several years, and now there are multiple ways for you to cast your ballot in this election, a few of which include mail-in absentee ballot, in-person early voting before Election Day, and in-person Election Day voting on November 8th, 2022. If you don't know where or how to vote, please call the Franklin County Clerk's office at 502-875-8702 or check out their website. It's loaded with current election information. Voting is a right in this country provided by our Constitution, and these election changes will hopefully increase voter turnout. I sincerely hope that you honor those that have served and are currently serving our country and exercise your right. It's been an honor to serve as an MC for this event, and I'd like to thank all the folks that aren't on camera for all their work to make this possible, the Frankfort Plant Board staff, the Chamber staff. That concludes this event. Thank you for tuning in.